Welcome back, my wise and weary listeners, to the Strange History Podcast, where we dig through history's attic and find out why your grandma says weird things like a watched pot never boils. Last time, we stitched time, bit bullets, and discovered that cats in bags are never a good thing. Tonight, we're finishing our collection, 13 more sayings that shaped the way we speak, think, and occasionally argue on the internet. Let's dust off the dictionary of destiny and see what advice our ancestors left us.
A rolling stone gathers no moss.
This one rolls right out of the Latin world. It was recorded by the Roman writer Publilius Cyrus in the 1st century BCE. It meant that people who keep moving, traveling, or changing jobs don't accumulate moss, meaning responsibilities, possessions, or, let's be honest, emotional baggage. In the 1500s, Erasmus, the philosopher, not the foreign exchange program, translated it into English, and it stuck. Ironically, later centuries flipped the meaning. In the workaholic Victorian era, no moss meant no roots. So now, depending on your vibe, it's either a compliment or a warning. Basically, you're either a cool minimalist or unemployed.
This segment is sponsored by Moss Boss, the official home decor line for commitment phobes. Because you may not settle down, but your ferns can.
There's no use crying over spilled milk.
If you've ever watched a toddler weep dramatically after knocking over a glass, you've seen this proverb in action. It dates back to the 1600s and first appeared in James Howell's Proverbs in English, Italian, French, and Spanish, 1659. The idea was simple. What's done is done, tears won't refill the glass. But in earlier folklore, milk was sacred. Spilling it was seen as bad luck or an offense to household spirits. So the saying evolved from superstition into stoicism. In modern terms, close the app, move on.
This emotional cleanup is brought to you by Spill Stop, life's first insurance for clumsy optimists. Wipe, laugh, repeat.
One bad apple spoils the bunch.
Ah yes, the saying that launched 1,000 HR memos. It comes from the 14th century when people stored apples in barrels. One rotten apple released ethylene gas, accelerating decay in the rest. The phrase became a metaphor for corrupting influences, whether in fruit baskets or political movements. These days, it's most often used in press conferences, right before someone says, "We take this very seriously."
Sponsored by Core Values, organic fruit and ethics, guaranteed fresh until human nature interferes.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
This one's a medieval warning. It appears as early as the 1300s in Chaucer's Troilus and Cresside and means exactly what it says. Don't stir up old trouble that's finally quiet. Back then, watchdogs were the medieval security system. Big, loud, and easily provoked. Wake them and chaos ensued. So the next time someone says it, remember, it's not about dogs. It's about that group chat argument from 2019.
This peaceful pause is brought to you by Sleepy Pup, the calming treat that keeps both dogs and drama sedated.
Take it with a grain of salt.
This oldie dates back to ancient Rome. Pliny the Elder wrote that salt could neutralize poison. He literally said, to take it with a grain of salt. Over time, the phrase evolved into view something skeptically. In the Middle Ages, salt was rare and precious, used as medicine and as a ward against evil. So, the phrase suggests balance, a little skepticism, but not total cynicism. In modern form, trust but verify, preferably with snacks.
This skeptical seasoning is brought to you by Salty Wisdom, the only salt brand that pairs perfectly with rumors and fries.
Cry wolf.
This one howls straight out of Aesop's fables. A shepherd boy repeatedly cries, "Wolf," to trick villagers until a real wolf shows up and no one believes him. Classic boy who cried wolf situation. The phrase warns against lying or exaggerating because credibility is hard to earn and easy to shred. It's the 6th century BC version of stop doom posting.
This tale of truth is sponsored by Fact Snack, bite-sized news you can trust, no wolves attached.
Put a sock in it.
If you've ever been told this, You were either talking too loud or podcasting too long. The saying dates to the late 1800s, when gramophones had no volume control. People literally shoved socks into the horn to muffle the sound. Over time, put a sock in it became slang for be quiet. So next time you say it, remember, you're quoting Victorian audio engineering.
This polite hush is brought to you by Sockbox, the first subscription service that silences unwanted noise and in-laws alike.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
This ancient encouragement dates back to a 12th century French proverb, Rome ne s'est pas faite en un jour. It was popularized in English by playwright John Haywood in 1538. The moral? Great things take time. Rome's empire, after all, was centuries in the making, roads, aqueducts, and all that marble. So whether you're building a city, a career, or a podcast empire, relax. History's on your side.
This slow burn success is sponsored by Brick, the productivity app that reminds you even Caesar needed a planner.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
Poetic, right? This one first appeared in John Milton's Comus, 1634. Was I deceived, or did a sable cloud turn forth her silver lining on the night? It's a reminder that even dark times have bright edges, optimism dressed in poetic flair. Though if you've ever been through a thunderstorm, you know, some clouds are just clouds.
This moment of forced positivity is brought to you by Cloud9, the meditation app that helps you find your lining before you lose your mind.
People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
The earliest written version comes from Chaucer, who said, "Who that hath no sin, cast the first stone." But the glass house version appeared in the 1600s, reminding people not to criticize others for faults they share. In an era when glass was expensive and fragile, the metaphor hit hard, literally. So before you judge, maybe check that you're not sitting in a conservatory.
This fragile truth is brought to you by Stone Stopper, the world's first guilt-resistant glove for throwing shade safely.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Another farming favorite, this one came from Don Quixote, 1605, and later English proverbs. Farmers knew if you carried all your eggs in one basket and tripped, disaster. It became financial advice centuries before stockbrokers existed. Diversify your risks, whether in investments or in life. Also applicable to dating apps, by the way.
Sponsored by NestVest, portfolio planning for people who drop things, emotionally or financially.
When pigs fly.
This delightful bit of sarcasm goes back to the 1600s Scottish proverb, pigs may fly, but it's not likely. It was the Renaissance way of saying, yeah, right. Early versions included other impossible animals, when frogs grow hair or when hens wear breeches. But pigs flying stuck, maybe because it's funny and disgusting. And now, thanks to the internet, we actually have pictures of flying pigs. Proof that sarcasm eventually manifests.
This airborne optimism is sponsored by bacon wings, because the impossible tastes better fried.
Better late than never.
This saying goes all the way back to ancient Greece. The historian Dionysius of Halicarnassus used a version of it in 20 BC, and Geoffrey Chaucer revived it in the Canterbury Tales. It's timeless advice. Doing something eventually is still better than not doing it at all. It's a celebration of imperfection, of trying, failing, and showing up anyway. It's also my personal motto for sending thank you notes and taxes.
This tardy triumph is brought to you by Procrastinade, the productivity drink that forgives lateness, but not laziness.
And that, dear listeners, wraps up Old Sayings and Where They Came From, Part 2. From mossy stones to flying pigs, these little phrases carry centuries of wit, warning, and wisdom. They've survived wars, plagues, and the invention of the internet, which is honestly a miracle. The next time someone drops one of these phrases in conversation, you'll know exactly where it came from, and probably ruin the moment by saying so. I'm Amy, and this has been the Strange History Podcast. Until next time, take it with a grain of salt, roll with the stones, and remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, but this episode nearly was. Good night and good history.